Hey, dear Tyler, how are you? I hope you're good. I hope this message meets you well, and I hope your morning is also going well. So, first and foremost, I have to start by saying thank you for your response to my first podcast. When I got to look at the analytics and see the number of listens, it was so overwhelming. I was simply just elated. It gave me a real sense of purpose, like what I'm doing has weight or it's really impactful. Thank you for the compliments on the soothing nature of the voice. I remember you also pointed out the fact that you took out time to listen to the podcast with your eyes closed, which was, I liked it. I liked it. I know I blushed at the moment about it. I know I really blushed at the moment about it, for a moment rather about it, but thank you so much, Tyler. It means a lot to me, and my commitment to you is that I'll consistently bring amazing content, things that would be a blessing to you at every time. So thank you again. God bless you. Now, two things before we get into the topic of today. A review of some of the things that were mentioned in the other podcast, or you pointed out from the other podcast, and then a request. So for the reviews, I noticed that you made mention of the fact that I double a lot of my words. So, for example, I'll be like, I'm so grateful, I'm so excited, or I'm super scared, or something like that. So I think it's like a signature thing for me. It's just like a point of emphasis. It's a signature thing for me, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's pretty me. It's pretty me. That actually sounded very awkward. It's basically me. But I'll do my best to make sure that I do not, over flood it, right? And make it, just put it everywhere that it becomes tiring. So definitely working on that. Then number two, the fact that I called meat a divine entity, I still stick by it. I have a very strong allegiance to meat. It's beautiful. It tastes lovely. It's a motivating factor in food for me. But then for those of us that are not so meaty, kudos to you. Full respect, right? But we hail meat. Then the last part, I noticed that you also made mention of how hilarious it was that I named my guitars. Oh my goodness, you have no idea what's coming up next. So like I told you that I have 3 guitars. My first guitar is Ruby. I got Ruby in 2007. My second guitar is Jasmine. I got Jasmine in 2016. It was a gift before graduating from the university. Then my last guitar is Amber. And I got Amber last year, 2020, during the lockdown as a birthday gift. Right? As a birthday gift. So, yes. And I'm working on getting other guitars, right? So it's not enough to just have 3. We need more. So I'm working on getting more guitars. And I have 2 names already set, depending on the nature of the guitar. One is Savannah, and then the other is Snowflake. So me naming my guitars is basically me working on having a connection with the instrument. There's just this bond that I have with my guitars, the whole instrument, right? So that's it. But it's just my own personal ritual that I do, just name instruments that I have. Now, to the request, I've been really brainstorming and thinking about an awesome salutation that I could use for us to start the podcast. Is there a phrase, a catchphrase, or something? So I'm open to your suggestions, Tyler, right? So just hit me with it and let me see what you could come up with. Right? Something that could really make the intro of this podcast dramatic and energetic, right? So, but for now, we'll stick with the hey, dear Tyler. So into today's topic. I'm so excited that we're about to start a series, and this series, I don't really know how long it's going to last, but it's going to last for a period of time, and it's a topic that I really, really love. My double words for emphasis. So it's a topic that I really love, and I think it's very important and it's very paramount. So the theme for this season, or for the theme for this period, is me, myself, and I. And what we'll be discussing today is on identity. We'll be discussing on identity. Part of the reasons why I felt it was very important for us to start here is that our definition of our identity, or how we define ourselves rather, plays a vital role in the things that we're able to achieve as individuals, or it defines to a large extent what we expect from ourselves, how we push ourselves, and how we also comport ourselves to the world. And I feel that before talking about any other topic with you, it would be really, really vital and important to talk about identity, who we are, what was I made for, why am I the way I am, what makes me special, what makes me unique. And so in the coming weeks we'll be talking about it, but today we're talking about identity. And I would start with a story, right? So back in high school, I schooled in Jos, Bethany Christian Academy. So back in high school, one of my roommates we usually used to have all of these talks and discussions about movies. So he was just in us a movie, and the part that I think I can remember, either the part I can remember or the part that I stepped into the room when we're talking about it, was a movie about a protagonist, the hero, doing some vampire kind of like work. It was a vampire movie, and so the villain was, really decking the protagonist as it should always be. It has always been that way, right? So the villain was, really decking the guy, and they were actually fighting in Castle Transylvania. Now, Castle Transylvania, for those of us that do not know, the whole vampire story stuff, is the home or the lair of Count Dracula. Now, Count Dracula is like the first amongst many vampires, like the very first vampire. Right? So they were fighting, and the protagonist was being beaten as usual. And so it got to a point where the villain pinned him to a wall next to a picture, and all of a sudden the villain had this sense of shock all over his face. And then the protagonist, the main actor, turned and looked at the picture, and he literally saw that it was his own face. And then he looked under, and it was written Count Dracula. And so from there, he now found out that, wow, I'm actually Count Dracula. He became aware of all of his abilities, and the tables turned. He decked the guy. I don't know if he killed him or not, but that was what stuck with me. The fact that when he got to know who he was, he started working in that ability. So it shows you the importance of identity. Now, while I was searching through the internet, I got a really good definition, and I feel it's something that we could use. Your identity is who you are, the way you think about yourself, the way you are viewed by the world, and the characteristics that define you. Your identity is who you are, the way you think about yourself, the way you are perceived or viewed by the world, and the characteristics that define you. Now, this definition is pregnant with so much information, and there is so much that we can draw out from this particular definition. but we'll take it gradually. In the coming weeks, we're going to talk about various things. Now, one of the things I got to really understand was your identity when coming to earth was predefined in the sense that you are not necessarily in charge. It's not something that you have power over. So there are factors that naturally influence the identity of an individual or anyone. So let's take you, Tyler, for instance. The factors that influence your identity at some point was your family, probably culture, the environment you grew up in, your peers, and then also the social systems surrounding you. Now, you don't have a choice in which family you're born into. There's no choice about that. Now, so you're born into a family that already has a culture, it has a belief system, it has a mode of thinking, it has its own paradigm. So you're naturally, as you're born into that family, you are already instituted into their thought patterns, generally. So if you're part of a family that there is a whole expression of confidence, people are very outgoing, outspoken, there's a high tendency that that's going to be part of your life. It's going to be something that you have very strong vibes for. But if you're born in a family where, everybody is quickly silenced and there's so much oppression or suppression, it has a way of already influencing you as an individual without your permission. Also your culture, right? Culture has a way of giving you an identity. There's a way that certain cultures speak, there's a way certain cultures behave, there are ways certain cultures carry out their own various dealings. These are things that you are just born into, your peers, the social systems around you. All of these things subconsciously build into you. Now, we have other things like temperament that also makes us within a family unit still unique, yet again, these systems or these factors really galvanize the first impression of who you are, which is your identity. Now, it's not your fault that maybe you perceive yourself in a certain way. Like I said, it was not a thing of choice for you. It was what was instilled into you as values and norms. Now, the miracle about life is the fact that as you grow up, you actually get to choose, make choices for yourself. So it means that ultimately these factors do not define you. You still have to make a choice on who you are and who you can be. Okay? You really have to make a choice about it. There's a miracle in this thing called choice. So maybe you grew up not being very confident. That doesn't mean you should consistently be uncourageous or so. No. It means that there is room to become better. There is room for you to also improve. You may come from, or you might have been in a system that was you had a whole lot of snobs and all, or probably bad character, and people already have perceived you in that light. It doesn't mean that that's who you are. There's this statement that people usually make, that's how I am, or that's how I am, that's how I am. Nah. We all have choices. Now that's the beauty of it. That we literally have the power to mold our own identity, to be known for something. That when you pass through a certain area, when you pass through a certain set of people, when people see you, they're able to pick out certain things for you or certain things about you. Right? So I wrote this down and it's very important. these factors, the factors that I mentioned already, may create the initial identity for you, but ultimately your belief, which leads to convictions, which leads to choices, define the true reality of your identity. So, your beliefs, what do you believe? The things that you believe, right? By the time you believe them enough, they actually become convictions. It's like an impulse in you. You're just bound by it already. Now, whatever sponsors your convictions, whatever your convictions are, naturally will influence the decisions and choices that you make, right? Now, the choices that you make would give you certain results, and those choices that you make consistently become the identity that people know you for, become the reality that people know you for. So it means that if there's a certain trait inside of you that you see that is predominant, that is not of benefit to you, these are things that can be changed. If people perceive you in a way that is negative, it means it can be changed. There's probably something wrong with your thought pattern, which has affected your convictions, which have affected your choices, which have also affected your reality. So it's important that who you perceive yourself as is important. Now, most times a lot of people try to get the definition of who they are from what people tell them they are. And most times what happens is that when you receive the information about who you are from other people, you're literally bound by whatever they say. Now, I think I was listening to a motivational quote once, and in that motivational quote, the person said that if you think you can't make it, you're right. If you think you can make it, you're right. It's all about what you have proposed in your heart. Whenever you have a thought and you meditate on that thought long enough, you literally create the energy for that thought to become a reality. So if you have a negative thought and you feel, I'm not good enough, you naturally begin to build energy that helps you fulfill that thought. Your actions would be there would be a reflection of your most predominant thoughts. So you can see the whole ladder and how the whole system works. It's really important, Tyler, that we get to understand ourselves. It's really important, Tyler, that you get to understand yourself. Now, one of the things that I think that would really help at this time is, and usually in the podcast, this is what's going to happen, that I'm going to take out time and I'll give you tasks to do for like the whole week, and hopefully to help us build over time. Now, I want you to do this. I know it may not be so in-depth and all, but I believe the little parts that I've shared have really gone a long way in making things to be clear to an extent. Now, what I want you to do is to, take out time and write down what you perceive as your identity. Who are you? What are the things that make you you, right? What makes Tyler Tyler? The good and the bad. Then at the next side, write down what you want to be identified for. What is the signature that proves that this is you? What do you want to be known for? And then meditate enough on those thoughts. Right? Meditate enough on those thoughts. Begin to walk and act in the manner that you want to be, not in the manner that you have been. So if you're having a challenge with courage, right? You have a challenge with courage. Begin to do things that will challenge courage in you. Begin to do things that would demand you to be confident. If you used to walk with, this low self-esteem, you move around with your shoulders dropped, change it. you want to walk with confidence, begin implementing it at this moment. Start it up. Now, it's going to be very awkward at the onset, right? But it's a conditioning, because what has happened already in our minds is already a programming, and that programming keeps us within that circle. So it's like a reprogramming, right? What we've got to do is to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Very, very important factors. So take out time, write down the identity, those traits, those characteristics that you see in you, and then write down the traits and characteristics that you want to be known for, and then begin to walk in it, especially the parts that you can practicalize. You begin to walk in it. There are other things that along the line we'll talk about on how to build some of these certain things, like I've always said, I'm so passionate about my faith, and I believe in the Word of God, and taking our perception, taking our information from the Word of God, how God perceives us. I feel it's very important. Taking our time to do positive confessions, speak to yourself, write down, I am beautiful, I am blessed, I am favored, I am excellent in the things that I do, I am confident, I'm full of confidence, I'm not afraid of challenges, I overcome challenges, I am a leader, I carry around me the atmosphere of love and of confidence, or things like that. Speak and say these things. When you get when you find yourself in a position that naturally would make you want to revert back to what you want to let go of, look at it as an opportunity to come out of it and seize that opportunity. Like I said, it would be awkward, but the repetition of those deliberate choices literally change the realities of our lives. And so I'm really rooting for you. Really, really rooting for you, Tyler. So the assignment for the week, write down who you are based on what you believe. And then write down what you want to be known for. And then apply speaking, apply acting, building yourself in that, tackling those challenges as they come. Right? So I know you've got a long day ahead of you, Tyler, and there's so much that you've got to do. So I really hope that this really inspired your day and motivated you. One thing that I really need you to remember, Tyler, is that I am rooting for you. I believe in you so much, and I believe that there is so much that you carry and so much that you're capable of doing and achieving. And so throughout the whole day, when you have maybe you come to a point where you feel a little bit tired or weary, remember that there's this guy at the other side of a podcast that is really, really rooting for you and doing everything within his power to be able to present certain truths that would make you an unstoppable force in this life. So I love you, Tyler, and I believe in you so much. So make sure that you do have an awesome day. And whenever you get to eat, try to put meat inside. All right. Thank you, Tyler. Do have an awesome day. Love you.